Hey, my name is Stanton Hayes, and this is my presentation on MPOX or monkeypox and the culture that was affected because of it. This is my outline just to get started. There's different topics that we're going to talk about, broken down in different sections. We're going to start off with what is MPOX, and this is just the background knowledge initially. So just to get an initial grasp on what the disease is, so it's called MPOX, also known as monkeypox. We'll get into why there's two names for that in a second. It's known for causing a lesion-like rash on parts of your body that's infected. Lasts about 2 to 4 weeks. It is treatable, but can be occasionally fatal. And the etiologic agent is monkeypox virus, MPXV for short. On the last slide, you can see what it looks like up close. And then this is also like a different picture of it on somebody and as a virus up close. All right, going to the next topic, which is deeper understanding. So we'll talk about the incubation period and the symptoms. The incubation period for MPOX is usually 7 to 14 days. And then after that, symptoms can be seen for 2 to 4 weeks. Depending on your immune system, it may last longer though. The symptoms are initially such of what you would see in a common flu. But then again, there's the rash. The rash will appear on infected areas. So usually the mouth, palms, genitals. Also, the disease will cause like a mild sickness, but usually not too bad. So how does the disease get around? So it could come from close contact with an infected person. Could be skin to skin, mouth to mouth. Any way that you come in contact, you will probably get it. It also can be transmitted through respiratory particles, so coughing, sneezing, animals, another way. Port of entry could be the eyes, nose, or mouth. Wherever you touch somebody, you'll get it in that location. And like I said before, it's a mild sickness. Usually people don't die from it, but depending on different factors, the death rate fluctuates. All right, getting into our third topic, which is initial cultural reactions. I wanted to do a timeline of major events and like the initial reactions people had to these events. 1958, monkeypox was discovered in a lab in Denmark. The response would be scientists would begin research on the disease. They would figure out the symptoms and just understand what it does. It didn't gain too much attention, but that was the initial response. Fast forward to 1970, first human case reported in DRC in Congo. Attention turned to wanting to become vaccinated there. Outbreaks would start to spread in West Africa. And besides the fact that there is outbreaks going on, it didn't gain global attention just yet. And that takes us all the way fast forward to 2003, so like a long time before the next, in my opinion, major event. So the first case reported outside of Africa into the U.S. And this was big because it gained national attention. People were starting to look at the disease. And so what happened was prairie dog was sold here, came into contact with somebody, got them sick. And what we could see is the stoppage of the selling of the prairie dog or anything that came in contact with it. And I thought that was a big cultural change. 2017, the largest human outbreak of monkeypox occurs in Africa. Stigma and fear could describe this. Public health authorities created campaigns to educate people and try to spread information on it. And then that takes us to the global outbreak of 2022. And I have a slide that kind of talks about that later. So we'll talk about that in a second. Those are just the initial cultural reactions I wanted to talk about. Next, we'll get into a deeper dive into the changes. I just wanted to take a closer look at cultural reactions, especially in two places that I feel like we could gain the most insight on. USA being because we live there, most of us, I'm assuming, and we could see the effects of it every day. And then also from a country, DRC, that, it started there and they have constant outbreaks there. So I just wanted to see the cultural reactions specifically for these places. First, we're going to start off with the Congo, and we're going to talk about changes that they've implemented in their culture because of this disease and different things that they were doing now. I broke it down into different aspects and ways their culture was impacted. So first, health practices, increased focus on hygiene, so like washing your hands, masks, and just other preventative measures are being taken in place. People are also more educated and informed on what the disease is and what to look for. Social behavior is the second thing. People are interacting with much more caution. So that means like if someone's showing signs that they have disease, people are more aware of that, and they're changing their behavior pretty much, and they won't come in contact with them. Perception's another thing that changed culturally. There's a stigma regarding the disease, who can get it and whatnot. But with education efforts, information helped ease the discrimination infected people received. The final change I wanted to speak about is medicine. So, the introduction of vaccines showed the importance of modern medicines, and most of the people like to do traditional medicine back there, and it kind of switched and changed that aspect culturally, what they were practicing in medicine. Now looking at America and the changes that happened here culturally, you'll see some similarities with them in the Congo and some differences. First being spreading awareness and giving information about the disease. It usually is the first step in trying to give people help. You saw with COVID, the first thing they want to do is spread information, give people facts about it so they understand what the disease is. And so that was the first thing that happened. Also, vaccine being available in the US for this disease is another health practice. Next, social behavior. So, kind of like what we talked about in the DRC, but I feel like even more so in America, there was always a stigma with monkeypox disease. You see special campaigns to inform people that the disease can happen to anyone, not just certain groups of people. So, you'll see a lot of the LGBTQ plus group get discriminated against because of this disease, but realistically, it can happen to anyone. That brings us to the next point, community. So now that people are informed, there's a lot more support for the people that are suffering and less of a stigma and less discrimination, which also helps with a lot of other things that we'll bring up right here. So the stigma surrounding the disease, a lot of people that are suffering to try and get help, sometimes they'll be too scared or didn't want to receive the backlash from getting help because they didn't want to have people know that they had the disease. Not only would they not want to get help because of it, they would often keep it to themselves that they'd had the disease, and it would spread even more because they didn't want to tell people. Talked about how it helped with discrimination with the LGBTQ community. And finally, the last cultural change I wanted to talk about was the change from monkeypox to mpox. It occurred because the name could be seen as discriminatory or racist. So that's why they changed that. I briefly mentioned about the global outbreak in 2022, but to talk about it more in depth here, there's an outbreak in non-endemic countries, over 100 throughout Europe, America, and Africa that reported cases, and a public health emergency of international concern was declared. And due to this, there's been even more research, and we're still seeing the effects of it today culturally. Okay, so the final section is the treatment. So first, people at risk, healthcare workers, people living with someone infected or taking care of someone with multiple sex partners, and sex workers. So really just anyone that comes in contact with a lot of people that could have the disease and come in contact in ways that is very invasive and it'd be easy to catch. If living in a area that's susceptible to outbreaks, you might want to get the pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is the vaccine you'd get before. And then if you come in contact with somebody, you can get the post-exposure prophylaxis. So yeah, there's different vaccines that you could get. So preventative measures, if you do have the disease, don't mess with it. It could get worse if you don't pick at the rash. Isolate yourself, and if you're around other people, cover it. If you're not, you kind of want to keep it dry and just not covering it, actually. If you want to prevent yourself from getting the disease, make sure to wash your hands, have protected sex. If you come into contact with someone that's infected, get help instead of just dealing with it. And this is my bibliography for everything that helped me with my research and coming up with this presentation. But I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening and watching. Bye.